We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for your voice in my headset on friendship. And Nora, are you as frustrated with life, people, everything as I am?
Probably, if not as much, pretty close.
Okay. Um, and Anita, are you as frustrated with people and things as I am?
I'm frustrated, but probably not as much as you are.
Elaine,
Probably not as much.
Rosanna?
Not as much.
Okay. And um, so, you know, Anita, can you share what you shared in the pre-show?
Yeah, so when we were like with the youth group, when we were kind of on our own, like I think it was after the age of 18, my dad told us like about making decisions, like he told us that we knew what the rules were, like what his rules were and what he thinks we should do. And if we make a choice to go to do something different than what we think he would want for us, then he would be there for us to like as a shoulder to cry on. But if there were consequences, that we would have to deal with the consequences on our own. Like if we were going to do something stupid enough that would land us in jail, um, he very likely would have let us sit there overnight
Do you have
and
any
not come
idea
bail
how
us out.
long I would let my kids sit in jail, Anita?
No, a couple days.
Well, I don't know, as long as long as they needed to sit there. Like like they I've never bailed one of my kids out of jail. I don't know if any of my kids have ever been in jail. They definitely done stuff where they could have been in jail, but I'm gonna let them go ahead and you know so if people have to pay for their own choices, to me that's easy ish. It's when somebody else pays for somebody's choices, that's when I have a hard time. Does that make sense, Anita, or not?
Yeah. Yep.
And so that's when it gets complicated for me because, um, and I don't know how to process all of that. So I connect dots that other people don't. People will say, well, should you connect those dots that you are? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. So to me, I'm going to make enough stupid choices in my life, even if I work really hard not to make stupid choices. So for me to go ahead and make stupid choices that could have been avoided, it makes no sense to me. Like Nora, like like she went ahead and observed her older siblings and some of her older siblings, she didn't say which ones, which is fine, but there's 9 older ones. And she said some number of them, and maybe other people outside of her siblings, went through Roomspringer and went ahead and like they said, I wish I hadn't done that. And so she said, well, why am I? She learned from somebody else's poor choices. To me, that's just common sense. But I don't find very many people doing that. It seems like most people have to make their own stupid choices and they still don't learn and they hurt other people. And I don't know what to do about that. Nora, any thoughts?
Um, no, not necessarily.
So Alvin Miller, like like when we hear this story, I think most people say, well, that's terrible. I'd never do something like that. I've never done something like that. That's not the point. The point is that we do this. We all do this, just to varying degrees. So he went ahead and talked. He said that a number of years back, there was a father and his son went ahead and molested or raped a girl. I don't know if it was a relative or a neighbor or something like that. And the dad was struggling whether he should turn the son in he was like 15, 16, 17 years old, on whether he should turn the son in to police. And I don't know all the details. So if you can get the big picture of the story and be careful not to get sidetracked on all the little details. Sometimes the little details are everything. Sometimes they're just a distraction from the big picture. And so Alvin was, talking to the dad, and the dad says, yeah, I'm really struggling. I don't know if I should or shouldn't turn my son in. And he ended up not turning him in. And then, I don't know, a year later, the son went ahead and stole some gold or money or something from the safe from the dad. And the dad turned the son in. And Alvin looked at me and he says, I mean, imagine if you're the girl. So Alvin's like in his mid 80s. And he's thinking about probably, I don't know, a 12, 15, 14, 15-year-old girl. So he's thinking about a girl. Like, imagine what it would be like to have that girl. So, my uncle or friend didn't turn the boy in for something he did against somebody else, but as soon as he did it against the dad, then the dad turned him in. And anytime that story is told, I hurt because I talked to an Amish guy and he's like, well, yeah, I'm going to take gossip and I'm going to hold this against this single mom. But yeah, he didn't do anything to me. Like, I don't understand. Like, to me, it just seems so wrong. But do I do that? Probably. So I don't know how to connect everybody in the team. Like building strong teams. How do you get people to care like Alvin does? To be aware. How do you get Jason, Kenny, Luke to think your decisions impact Nora and Lincoln? Or Anita? Or Ginger Ann and her 7 kids? Or Elaine? Or does anybody care about Rosanna? Like, how like, I don't understand how people aren't able to see the connection between choices and consequences. And it's weird because mine's backwards. It seems like most everybody else, they have stuff that is obviously connected to it, and they try to go and say, well, there's no connection. Well, there's nothing I could do, blah, blah, blah. I try to find connections that are a mile away. So obviously, I think my way of thinking is better than other ways of thinking, at least for me. So when the 3 Amish teenagers, died because of asphyxiation, like, I'm in tears. I mean, it's devastating to me. And I didn't know them, didn't anything. But when I think of that, I know one of their cousins was having issues with drugs, bigger issues after the cousin died. And I wonder, like, is this a PB church? like, I wonder, like, when I stand before a holy God, is he going to be like Mark? Like you had that guy at Coffee Connection. He went ahead and said that he knew the cousin and the cousin of the one that died, like he was struggling with drugs, even more so. Like, why didn't you go ahead and pursue that, Mark? Like, I don't understand why I go ahead and feel that level of responsibility and other people seem not to. I don't get that. And from an outside perspective, it seems like the way I live and think is a miserable way to live and think. I don't think it is. I think it's a wonderful way to live and think. Because there's so much significance. There's so much significance. There's so much, like any moment could be the difference between life and death. Any moment could be the difference between encouragement and not encouragement. And Nora, what you thinking?
So why do you think that? Because if I think on like the phone system and stuff, like to some people that's like not a big deal.
Right.
So like most people are gonna say, like why does it matter that much? Like,
Right.
so
See,
why
this
do you
is
think that you see like that as being, maybe not the wisest thing?
right. See, that's a great question. So, so when I was, I don't know, 21, and my younger brother Dan was in the Marines, and one of the exercises was turtle relocation. So he was in boot camp in the Marines, and they'd take him out into the desert, and they said, okay, you got to find turtles and you got to relocate them from here to there. And I'm like, that is so cool. That's weird. Why would they do that? So, you know, so some of it's building stamina, some of it's building, you do a command, you do an order, you just do what you're told, when you're told, how you're told, do it with a great attitude. You trust the integrity of the system, like all of those type of things. In boot camp, in the military, they go ahead and make you have your shoes, and everything's got to be just perfect. Everything's got to be perfect. What does that have to do with fighting a war and winning a war? Everything. Because you don't follow instructions, you don't have the attentiveness to detail, you can die, or somebody close to you can die. Like, one of your fellow mates could die, like, because you make a mistake, they can die. And so for me, I just, as painful as, so if they do that in the military, why is that not true here? I mean, there are so many things in business. There are so many things in business that in sales that one little tiny thing went ahead and made me millions of dollars. Or other things cost me tens of millions of dollars. And so there's all these examples, Nora, all over the place in the military, in police, in business, in spiritual. Like there's all kinds of stuff in the Bible. Little details matter, not every detail. So it's not OCD, it's not just details for details, but there are specific types of details that matter a lot. And so if my life doesn't matter, it doesn't. So with the phone system, and look, it's like, so you go ahead and you research, you invest time and energy and resources into finding out how to use a phone system. So there's things on my Apple phone that I'm not using that I could, that if I made money, I could, if I use those things, I'd probably make more money. But I'm not using them because I don't know what they are. So there's things like Jason was quick on it. He was so fast that he says, and so did other people catch it? And he says, yeah, I don't know the full capability. I'm not using it. Well, again, so I know you, Nora, and I know me on Leverage. You combine you and me together. And so we have purpose and intention, and that phone system may double your productivity. So you and I are like dogs on a bone. Like we're all over it. Like we are all over it. We are on that thing. And because Jason went ahead and is on the same phone system, you can give that same thing to Jason or Katie or anybody else. You can say, oh, this is what I'm doing, because they have the same system. Because Luke and Kenny and Dreamscape are on another system, you can't help them because they're on a different system. Will they ever know that? They won't. They won't learn lessons. Most people don't learn when they go ahead and get hurt. But if somebody's not getting hurt because people want to feel good, they don't look for opportunities to say, man, was that stupid? If they don't pay a price, so they're missing opportunities, Nora, and they won't even know it. Now, if somebody says, well, Mark, maybe that other system's better, and maybe they'll go ahead and you'll be the one missing it. That's a possibility, but not a probability. Because why? Because they don't have a single mom that's researching it. The other phone system could be better, but Luke's not going to be, and Kenny's not going to be. They're not going to be looking at that phone system the way Nora is, or the way I am. Does that help or not so much, Nora?
Yeah.
So isn't that a miserable way to live, Mark? I could say yes. Like you're always second guessing yourself. You're always looking around for something that's weak and a vulnerable point. I mean, spiritually, if we're in a war, like Paul, he talks about being a soldier. And so if you're in a war, most Christians, they're in a war, they just don't know it. And they're not prepared for it. And it seems like, Nora, to me, most people they don't have a fear of God. Like they have, like, have you thought when you stand before a holy God, have you thought like there's these people that stood before God and they said, we preached in your name, we did miracles, and we cast out demons, and God says, depart from me, I never knew. Go into everlasting eternity forever. And they did all these good things. And it's like, they did better things than I did. I don't know that I've done miracles. I don't know. And maybe according to Ralph Miller, but not the way they did. And I haven't cast out demons. And so they're better than me. They're probably a good Baptist, good GRBC. They're better than a good GR. But it's like, I don't know why people don't go ahead and take their minds into places. There's so many times that I've taken my mind into a place that I'm like, Mark, what if you're wrong? What if they're right and you're wrong? The whole next dimension principle came from that thought process where a guy said he was coachable at a 9. I thought he's coachable. You're a 1. I knew I was right. But in my mind, I said, Mark, what if he's right and you're right? I'm like, that's impossible. I'm like, no. What if he would take your mind there? In Song of Solomon, when I'm teaching the Bible, the adult Bible school, and they said, well, what if it is allegorical? Like, what if what they're saying is right and you're wrong, Mark? and then I just go ahead and take my mind totally into that situation. And so the best places, the most significant breakthroughs that I've had in life is when I take my mind and say, Mark, what if they're right? What if you're wrong? And it doesn't seem, Nora, that people do that. And I don't know why.
I wonder if there's, because I mean, I get that, but if you would ask them, they would probably say that they do. So I wonder if, like, it looks different, because I can take my mind to that place. Like, what if I'm wrong and they're right? But what if it's like what if it looks different externally than what it does for Elaine to do that?
So maybe you and I this week can do it to 3 people. Because I think people, like, you've done it. So you're like, well, I think people will think they've done it. No, you think you've done it. I think you've probably done it. Because you were like, well, I think people would say that. I mean, when I've done that in the past to people, they have this dumbass look on their face, like deer in the headlights. They're like, what are you talking? They've never done it, Nora. They're like, no, I'm like, why would I do that? That makes no sense. So maybe you and I could try it with 3 people this week. I was like doing a little experiment. I'm doing an experiment and see what you come back with and I come back with. So people like people at pickleball find me intriguing. I'm very quiet, but yet I'm writing a book and I've got this and that. So there's a mystery about me. Like it's just like if I can remember, I'll go ahead and ask them, say, listen, there's this podcast about friendship and this book, and the author, my co-author and I, we're doing a little experiment. So we're asking 3 people. So can I ask you a question? And they'll be like, sure. And I'll say, do you know how to take your mind to a place that you know you're right or think you're right, and you can say, what if I'm totally wrong? Have you ever taken your mind to that place? What a cool question to ask people. I mean, they'll think I'm strange, probably. Then I can ask them how. Anita, what are you thinking right now?
Um, so coming from a person that can very easily think negative thoughts,
Can I ask
um,
you a question about that?
yeah, sure.
How do you know it's negative, Anita?
Um, well, I don't always know it right, like when it happens, but um, like it might be a day or two later that um I keep like thinking about the stuff and end up not feel like in a really bad place, like mentally.
Okay. So would it be fair to say that, Nora, some people say to you you're a negative person or you have negative thoughts about things?
Yeah. Yep.
The analytic tends to be people say you're a negative thinker. Why am I negative? I don't think I'm negative. I think I can, like, especially a driver, you know. So I don't know what the thoughts are, but I think a lot of times people will say you're a negative thinker because you're seeing something they don't want to see.
I think most of the time when I get told I'm a negative person is when I question things. If
Right.
somebody says something and I question it, like, oh, well, you're just negative. Like, no, I'm just trying to get all the facts and the data. I mean, I feel like I'm being realistic by asking questions, but okay.
Right. So I
So
didn't mean
like
go.
I was just gonna say, like, questioning things doesn't necessarily have to be negative. It can be, but it doesn't necessarily have to be.
Right.
How?
Well, so like for me, often when I'm kind of in a negative mindset, like I question everything. Well,
So
well, what do
can
you
you
think?
help me understand what's a negative mindset? What is that?
So like everything is like everybody like sometimes it's like everybody's out to get me or um like everything's going wrong because I made this and this and this decision or just like there's no like just being pessimistic about everything.
So is that a negative thinking? Is that bad thinking like that?
I mean, I don't know. It depends on if it's true or not. Are people actually out to get you? Is that like
Yeah.
a feeling that's because sometimes people are actually out to get you, and it's like, well, I guess they're out to get me. So it's not necessarily negative. It's just reality.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think Anita, I think if you take that and you say, like, don't allow people to say, well, you're a negative person because you're questioning something. So I think, like, and did I make really poor choices? Like when I skipped that first Sunday, I thought that I was going to go ahead and, get hurt and never play pickleball again. Like that's the Baptist training. And it's funny because Ben said he thought the same thing. And then, and then, um, and then Elaine said she thought the same thing. And she connected the sciatic like nerve issue to the PB church. Like 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 God punishing me. And I don't look at that like I don't know if she was serious. I thought a lot about it. Like, when did that happen? Did that happen at the same time? So let's say it did happen because I went ahead and no longer went to, the traditional church. I went to the PB church. Is that my sciatic nerve having the pain and stuff? Is that a bad thing?
So, question: why, when something we say bad happens to us, like the sciatic, why is it, well, God's punishing me? Why is it always God?
Right. Well, and that's the thing. Like when she was laughing and I was laughing. So I think she was laughing. I said, well, maybe
Yep.
God went ahead and did that, or maybe the devil's doing it like he did with Job. Like I'm starting to make ground into like this is not punishment. This is pain because the devil's involved because he doesn't want me. He wants me to go back to that other church again.
Well, kind of like Joe,
Right.
right?
So I think having the ability to go, well, like there's that story of that gentleman, and he said, yeah, my son broke his leg. Well, that's bad. Well, no, um, no, because that means he didn't go and get drafted into the military. Oh, well, that's good. Well, no, because he didn't get a chance to go ahead and serve his country and save. So everything that seems bad could be good, and everything that seems good can be bad. Now, again, people would tend to say, Mark, that's got to be a terrible way to live. I'm not disagreeing with them. But to me, there's so much freedom in it, and there's so much significance in it. Elaine, what are you thinking now?
I'm thinking you could go either way with all those questions. It could be this or it could be that. It could be both. It could be who knows.
Right. What a wonderful way to live. Rosanna, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking that it goes a lot with the quote that I used yesterday. And I was trying to find it real quick, but basically it was saying that just because it's the wrong way doesn't mean that it's wrong. It may be leading you to what needs to be done or something to that extent. Or
Yeah.
maybe leading you right to where you need to be.
Right on the, in the John and Josh's and Gingeran's old house, they had a mural on the side of the wall and it says, "All those who are wandering are not lost." And you all would be really proud of me that I didn't go ahead and take a marker and say, "But some are."
Sometimes when I feel I'm on the wrong path, it's actually feeling exactly where I'm meant to be.
Yeah,
So I pause, breathe, and reflect to see things for what they really truly are.
yeah, yeah. Nora, anything else that you have?
No, I don't think so.
Elaine, anything else you have?
I don't think so.
Nita, anything else you have?
No, I don't think so.
Rosanna, anything else you have?
Nope.
Mark, anything else you have? Thanks for asking. Um, so I don't know if I can find it. I know I'll just find it the other way. So in the book, uh, recommended book, Mark. So this quote, I think, is a really good quote, and I put it in the pickleball book. Usually, when people step into the river of change, the void between the old self and the new self is so uncomfortable that they immediately slip back into their old selves again. So the year of change is like this week. I discovered, I've got to do some work on it yet. But when somebody's locked, they're protecting something. They're vulnerable in some area. What does that mean? I don't know. I just discovered it. But I think like what I'm hoping it's going to do, like my response in the past is when somebody gets locked, I just often will just disengage. Like I'm just done. Because there's nothing I can do. So if there's nothing I can do, I mean, essentially I'm kind of giving up on the person. I'm just like, okay, like there's nothing I can do. And so I feel helpless. But now with that new way of thinking, it's like, no, they're hiding something. They're hiding something and they don't know it. They have like that room in that room. Like like it connects back into that room. That room resonated with me. So then they unconsciously think. So this is the subconscious thinking. This doesn't feel right. And Christians will say, well, I'm going to pray about it. And their prayers, it's almost always their prayers happen exactly the way they want. Like Dale Williams, he's like, I'm like, one guy said that he thinks you and I ought to talk. He says, well, I'll pray about it. I don't know. 3 months later, I'm like, what'd you come back with? And the prayers, often seem to follow what people's feelings are, which is interesting. So this doesn't feel right. I'm uncomfortable. I don't feel so good. So the moment that they accept that thought, that auto suggestion becomes suggestible to their own thoughts, they will unconsciously make the same old decisions again and will lead to progressively the same habitual behaviors to create the same experience that automatically endorse the same emotions and feelings. And when they say to themselves, this feels right, they have these feelings. They're feeling it's right. And God spoke to me and the Bible spoke to me and I found it at church and the Holy Spirit and all of that. But it's not. What they really mean is it feels familiar. So, this year and the year of growing, I'm always already hating it. It's like So let me get this straight, Mark. The more you grow, the more uncomfortable and messy things are around you. And it's like, yeah, that's kind of true. That kind of sucks. So I don't know what to do with that. So I appreciate all of you being on. I don't know if I get a lot out of this, and it's very meaningful to me that you're all on, because I feel like we're doing this journey together, and I enjoy that a lot. So I appreciate that. If you're not getting a lot out of it, and like what I want is something concrete. I want something concrete, and a lot of times the thing that I don't like about this is it's not structured. It's not structured, and I'm not concrete in what I'm getting. It's like it seems like there's a piece here and a piece here and a piece here and a piece here, and it's like I have all these puzzles. It's so frustrating. So thank you all for doing it. If there's more that I can do to help you all get more from your investment and contribution into this, for sure, let me know. Always remember we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.